we want to let you know that this webinar is being recorded and that all of the information we will share today is already in the RFP, which will be posted in the chat for this Zoom meeting. My name is Mary O'Connor, and I am the Deputy Commissioner at the Department of Planning and Development. On behalf of Mayor Lightfoot and Commissioner Cox, welcome. We're excited to tell you about this exciting new opportunity being offered through DPD's Chicago Recovery Plan programs. With us today are colleagues of mine from the Planning Department. We have Nina Idamudia, Sophia Carey, Gabby Jurassic, and Mark Roshan. Also joining us today is Richard Day from the Mayor's Office. In the time that we have today, we're going to highlight the major points in the RFP. Starting now, you can drop any questions you have in the Q&A box. You can find that by hitting the Q&A button on Zoom, which will be located either at the top of your screen or at the bottom of your screen, depending on what type of device you are using. We'll also have a verbal Q&A at the end of the presentation, moderated by Nina, to clarify any questions or concerns you may have. We're going to do our best to answer as many questions as possible in the times allotted. So with that, I'll get started on the presentation. Today, I'll provide a program overview and explain what the Chicago Recovery Plan is, and then I'll go through the Corridor Ambassador Program. I will discuss eligibility requirements, the application process, and provide you tips on how to submit a strong application. So for those of you who may not know what the Chicago Recovery Plan is, it's a mix from the federal dollars under the American Rescue Plan, as well as the Chicago Economic Development Bond dollars, which total $1.2 billion in investments. We will be making over the next 3 years for the city of Chicago. Through an extensive process of community engagement, consultation, and analysis, the city developed an integrated plan designed to drive transformational change. This plan invests in two key areas. The first is significant investment in the well-being of people and communities to allow them to thrive and collectively improve community safety. And the second is strategic investment, which is to create an equitable economic recovery for Chicago's neighborhoods and the communities hardest hit by the pandemic. So these are the two overarching reasons we are talking about the Chicago Recovery Plan. As you may know, there are several other departments throughout the city that offer various CRP programs, but today we will only discuss the Department of Planning and Development. Our department has a specific allocation for approximately $230 million to help in the first three bullets in which DPD will be in charge of moving forward: community climate investments, community development, and small business and workforce support. So for the purpose of today, we're going to talk about the RFP for the Corridor Ambassador Program issued by DPD on Friday, March 4th. Chicago's neighborhood commercial corridors contribute to the city's vitality, serving residents and businesses and showcasing our diverse communities. The city recognizes the toll that the pandemic has had on our local commercial corridors. Commercial corridors across the city have seen major reductions in economic activity, along with increased public safety concerns. To ensure a strong recovery in commercial corridors, the program is seeking community-based organizations that will work with the city to hire and train, serve as ambassadors, to provide a visible, welcoming presence in neighborhood commercial centers for residents and visitors to patronize the local businesses and amenities on that corridor. So what is a corridor ambassador? Their job is twofold, focusing on concierge service and safety. The ambassadors are walking concierges who are visible, mobile, and responsive. Ambassadors provide the highest level of hospitality and customer service possible. They are friendly, personable, and are welcoming. They can assist residents and visitors find parking, offer directions and wayfinding, and even providing information on dining and shopping. Ambassadors also serve as the eyes and ears of the corridor, reporting problems to be addressed to the appropriate authority, such as alerting police to hazards, medical emergencies, or other possible criminal activity. The ambassador should work with local organizations to connect the homeless to resources. And ambassadors are also expected to develop a clear understanding of each partner's organization's mission, as well as a strong working relationship with their counterparts, such as local police districts, key stakeholders, such as neighborhood businesses and residential organizations. Corridor ambassadors should be easy to spot in distinctive, cheerful, bright uniforms, identifying them as official representatives of your organization. When they aren't busy assisting citizens, they can report maintenance issues such as graffiti, broken windows, trash, streetlights that are out, and other problems that can degrade a neighborhood. What are ambassadors not expected to do? Organize corridor events or activity, serve as a business outreach liaison staff for the business organization, or duplicate or replace existing SSA programming, example, like including cleaning efforts. Ambassadors do not have law enforcement power and cannot issue citations or take law enforcement actions. As you'll see in our timeline, the RFP deadline is April 1st. We will select awardees by mid to late April. The program launched by Memorial Day, so that we're asking, or June 1st, so we're asking that ambassadors should be trained and be on the commercial corridors by June 1st. Selected organizations will receive a year award with the potential of a 2-year extension, 2 1-year extensions. The first 1-year extension will be determined based on project performance and funding availability. Future funding is not guaranteed, and funding amounts and terms will depend upon the performance of the grantee during the initial award period, as well as other policy considerations determined by TBT. DPD is also in the process of hiring a program administrator to assist with oversight and reporting requirements, similar to Summer Corps, who I know many of you have worked with. So what are we looking for to help select a corridor? We're asking you to define the commercial corridor you want to address. Those corridors should feature a concentration of businesses that have traditionally had significant foot traffic or other activity. Other areas to be considered are public transportation stations and viaducts. Applications should make it clear that you understand the local business area and the specific needs of that corridor. The program is open to low and medium income community areas, as well as community areas that have faced a major downturn in activity. And you will see these areas are highlighted in blue on the map that are eligible. Ambassadors are not tied to the SSA boundaries. Funding is independent of the SSA program. Sorry, 1 second. So the structuring of the program, first is like hiring. We want to make sure that local community members will be representing the ambassador program. You can work with summer youth groups. You can work with the organization that may be managing the Safe Passage program. However you can identify neighborhood groups is preferable. The size of the program and the boundaries should be based on the size of the corridor and the specific needs. That said, we encourage denser programs where ambassadors will be clearly prevalent rather than a spread out over a wide area. If someone comes to a corridor for a 20-minute errand, they should be able to be in contact with an ambassador. We're talking about areas between 4 and 6 blocks. The time of days and seasonality is, can be variable. We encourage you to customize hours or total number of hires based on seasonal needs. Summer months and special events may require additional staffing, for example. Equipment need, as I mentioned, the corridor ambassadors should be easy to spot. We want distinctive, cheerful, bright uniforms. These uniforms should be able to be used for all seasons. Other equipment needs could be communication accessories such as like radios. You might want to purchase bikes, first aid kits, flashlights, whatever you decide would be the best needs for the ambassador to, be able to assist the corridor. CPS will also provide a required training based on their safe passage program that delegate and ambassadors will take. Ambassadors will have an initial meeting also with the local police district to discuss the area and how to best complement each other's efforts. After the initial training, delegate agencies are responsible for maintaining relationships with other agencies and continue to offer ambassadors other training efforts you deem necessary. It's important that you provide a clear program management plan, including who will be responsible for overseeing the ambassadors on site, how the communication will be handled, and provide clearly defined shifts and schedules. So here we're just showing you an example of a budget for $250K. So we're going to ask you to identify like your labor costs. So here we're showing you that there, for example, 4 full-time or 8 part-time, plus that will include additional staff. You'll see additional staff for the summer. Equipment, like I mentioned, could be bikes, uniforms, first aid kits, radios. And then we also want you to include like your overhead management expenses and any additional training expenses. In addition to the total cost, we'll work closely, we will work closely to look at your overall request grant amount per hour of ambassador time. So this is an important metric because it helps us compare how efficient your program is at getting ambassadors out on corridors. So this number is not the hourly wage, but it's like the total rate for the ambassador, which includes all of their employment taxes and any other benefits you will include. But we're going to divide like the total expenses by the total hours per year. And that will give us the amount of the cost of the ambassador. We are also, we can also accept bids up to 400,000 if there are areas of particularly strong and cost-effective needs. But we'll reserve the right to review those and see if that seems like a need for your area. We realize that it's very difficult for many of you out there to be able to have upfront funding for your payroll. So we are, and we understand that there's cash flow challenges. So we are working on an expedited reimbursement program for organizations who are wanting to participate. Right now, we are planning on providing funds directly to the grantees' payroll providers. And so we are still working out the technical details of that, and we'll be able to share more details when we meet with you to sign your agreement. And as always, when we work with federal funding and grants, there is going to be reporting requirements, and they will be monthly, and they will include like staffing number of interactions with residents. We will eventually ask you to show the benefits of this program. If you see an increase in, let's say, sales tax, foot traffic, less crime, we ask you to capture data such as that. And then for our application evaluation, they will be scored on 3 factors: the organizational capacity, the program design, and the budget information. So these, as we mentioned before, The organization capacity will be the ability to hire and train your ambassadors, that they'll be out on the corridors by June 1st. That you will be able to, you will have like a supervisor in place to help oversee the ambassadors. And then the program design will be in detail of how you will, the boundaries of the corridor, the specific needs that will need to be addressed on the corridor, and then the budget information that we just talked about. So again, for application tips, it's your organization's capacity. So it's that you're sending us your financial statements and tax returns for the previous years. You'll talk about prior experiences, maybe similar programming, or just other grant programs you have worked with the city on. You might be also one of the groups that are overseeing the CPS Safe Passage program. So all those type of programs that you've been involved with, we would like you to include in your application. And again, it's really important to have a detailed plan highlighting how you will be able to launch by June 1st. And then we'll just ask you like that you give supporting documents of like how these corridors were selected. So maybe you have an idea of like where some of the crime in your beat have increased, or you have an understanding of where, like your certain businesses have closed, or they're seeing a reduction in sales. So we just want you to highlight the needs of that corridor. Again, highlight how you will hire locally, and how you will incorporate the training, and just the overview of the whole site plan. And I think that's about it right now. So I think we can open this to Q&A. Nina?
All righty. Yep. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to the Q&A box. So if you do have a question, be sure to put it in that Q&A box, which is different from the chat. So the first question we have here, Mary, is there a typical number of hours a week an ambassador is expected to work, a minimum or maximum number of hours? I think you covered that, but if you could just reiterate that.
Like from our research, it's important that the ambassadors are visible, and that they and that they remain on the corridor a minimum, I would say, of 20 hours a week. We want the businesses, we want the residents, the visitors to be familiar with these ambassadors and get comfortable seeing them routinely. So I would say a minimum of 20 hours a week, maximum 40, and you would want them to be here. You don't want an ambassador out on the streets alone.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the next question. So this says, regarding data collection and reporting, what is the responsibility of the corridor manager's leads? Would the corridor manager support data collection such as sale and crime rates?
We'll help you establish that criteria. We are still working this out. We are gathering this information, but as I mentioned before, some of the data will include, I do know for sure there'll be some form of monthly reporting, but it'll include maybe the ambassadors, like their outreach efforts, the hours they worked. It could include maybe a change in like a positive change of having the ambassador there. We see, like as time goes on, we see an increase in sales tax revenue or less crime. We'll get those specific details. I think it'll be some information you'll probably be gathering anyway. It's just, so we're not gonna, we are doing our best effort not to make this daunting and more difficult for you, but we do have a requirement, since this is federal funding, to report monthly.
And we will be giving you more details and templates, so it won't be like a free for all and we'll just send, say, hey, give us this information. We'll be sure as we narrow down our awardees to be transparent about what's expected. But we want to, although we don't have all the details, we just want to preface you that if you apply for this, know that there will be reporting requirements.
But we'll have the details by the time we sign contracts.
Right. All right. Yes. Oh, so somebody's asking if there will be a copy of the presentation. Yes, this video as well as the PowerPoint will be live on our website, on DPD's website. So look out for that in the next day or so. Okay, so the next question is the $22.50 shown in the sample budget the standard expectation for hourly wage? Is there a minimum or maximum?
That was just an example of so no, you have to do a minimum wage, $15 an hour. And you have to, but again, you have to include all of your employment taxes have to be included in here and any other form of benefits. But I think how you pay your ambassador probably depend on their experience, maybe the hours they work and what their job description will be. So some may be a supervisor that will require a higher rate of pay. You might be working a later shift on a Friday and Saturday that you may want to give a higher rate of pay, but that's up to you to determine the market rate where you feel your ambassadors will be financially compensated for their wages and the work they're doing.
Yeah. Okay. So insert that. All right. So the next question we have is, do you expect the ambassadors to pay the living wage with it? Oh, do you expect the ambassadors to be paid a living wage with benefits? And so Mary, just to reiterate, a minimum of $15 an hour, but please do include all of those fringe, additional fees that cost your business included in that, and include that into your budget, because whatever you're awarded is what you're awarded. And so just be very mindful of that. So 15 is the minimum, but also be sure to include that. And then also thinking about how many ambassadors you want. And just like Mary just said, whether they're full-time, part-time, Saturday hours, whatever will be attractive to the market, to your market, because you know it best. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next question. This is another wage question. Can you clarify on wages? Is it up to the provider to set the ambassadors? So I think we covered that. So I'm going to go ahead and skip. And I'm reading these as I'm coming. So sorry if there's duplicates. What are the communities? Okay. What are the communities on the far southwest side that are not eligible? I tried to find the info in the RFP, but didn't see it.
We didn't list the specific communities that are not included, but they're not listed in the RFP. They're not included.
We didn't list those that are not specifically included, but in the RFP, we have a list that are included. If they want to shoot me an email, I'll be able to. I don't have that answer right now.
Okay, but simply
I can provide
put,
it.
Simply put, if the neighborhood is not in the RFP, it is not covered under this program.
Correct.
Okay. So next question. So this grant program is designed mainly to work with existing and potential customers in the corridor to encourage more customers in the corridor. That's a question.
Can you repeat it? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so they're saying essentially this program is designed to mainly work with existing or potential customers in the corridor and to encourage more customers in the corridor. Like they're saying, is that the purpose or the overall thought of the program?
And I also mentioned there's two here. One is the concierge of hospitality, wayfinding, giving directions, and the other is safety. And so that just giving the customers and visitors a sense of security, that they know that there's someone out there looking out for them. So there's two, but yes, we would like to see our commercial corridors thriving again. We want our businesses to be sustainable, and we want the amenities that are needed for these communities to be available to the visitors as well as the residents.
Okay, thank you. All right, so this question asks another question about payroll. How should the ambassadors be paid? Should they be paid on the applicant's payroll, or do they need a third party's payroll?
If you are going to work with us on the expedited pay program, then we will need to work with a third party payroll. But I'm guessing most of you already have a third party payroll. I mean, we're not telling you which one to work with, but we will be working with the third party payroll or company. But I'm assuming many of you already have that in place.
So if the money is being budgeted to them, like the check is cut to the organization and how the organization pays, or
No, we will
Okay.
pay the payroll directly.
Oh, I see.
Payroll
I see.
company directly.
Okay, I think that's what they're asking. So
Yeah,
so
we
yeah,
pay
so
them
there will
directly.
be a third party. There will be a third party to help with payments of the.
But we will
ambassadors.
pay the delegate agencies directly for their initial expenses for uniforms and other equipment needed to run this program.
Got it. Okay. All right. So one person is asking, because we like to employ because we like to employ community youth, can we hire a combination of full and part-time staff?
Yes.
Are there other programs that embody best practices you hope to realize from this ambassador program? So are there other programs that have best practices that maybe applicants should look at for inspiration?
For the city of Chicago, I know that State Street, the Loop Alliance has an ambassador program that they find very successful. But our other research was we just looked at other cities and states and looked at their programs and just read like rave reviews of the benefits it provided to the community and how it increased foot traffic, a sense of safety, just seeing, engagement between the, the ambassadors engaging with, helping the homeless population, providing resources and services.
Okay. What types of organizations can apply? Can they be a local business or must they be a community organization? Does it have to be a 501c3?
Yeah, yes.
It does have to be a
It has to
501c3.
be, yeah, it has to be, and they have to be a non-for-profit organization.
Got it. So it has to be a 501c3. All right, next question. If more than one local organization is interested in collaborating on the program, is that allowed? And if so, should there be a lead applicant with collaborators described in the program design?
Yes, yeah, and part of your application just lists the other part of your team. But yeah, there should be a lead.
Okay.
You could like provide an organizational chart stating each role.
Okay. If the ambassadors are required to be on a third party's payroll, does the applicant have to hire the third party, multiple third parties? So I think we've already answered that question about the third party.
Hold on one second, okay? Because I'm just going to look at. I just want to look at one other thing for advice.
Okay.
1 second, please. So,
Yeah, you could use a vendor.
in addition to the payroll service, you can also use a vendor such as Kira or Clean Slate if they want to work with them to help provide the staffing and oversee the payroll as well.
Okay, so you could potentially hire more than one
So
party
an
to help.
outside vendor, or you have, if this is only like, this is if you're going to, if you're looking for the expedited payment.
Okay.
But I would hope, I would think you'd want to work with the payroll service just because of the amount of, like that part of your payroll will be part of your reporting that could be audited by the federal government.
Can agencies use a contractor for ambassadors, or do agencies need to have the ambassadors on their payroll?
No, I just mentioned that, yes, they can use like a third-party vendor as well, such as Clean Slate. I'm using them as an example. I'm sure there's many others out there.
Okay. How often are the ambassador city trainings going to be offered?
We'll probably offer at the beginning, probably, 1 to 3, and then I'm not anticipating offering any other training this season. That will be dependent on the delegate agency to continue that training with any new ambassadors or other training that they feel is necessary for their corridor.
Okay, and then, so I see a question, and I think it had to do with your budget, the example budget you put up. It says, is the 10% staff cost for the community-based organization staff, like admin costs? I think it's not.
The admin cost is at 10%. That was
10%,
listed,
okay.
yes.
Okay, so I think that answers their question. Okay, I think we answered this question already. It's about vendors and employment, so I'm gonna skip that one. Is this a 1099 role? Like the type of form, like, a W-2?
No, I know.
Okay.
That was not, no, because we really, we wanted this to be a full, we wanted this to be year round. And so I'd have to get back to you. If someone wants to email me that, and we'll put that as part of our Q&A and post it. But I do not believe this will be a 1099 will be acceptable.
Okay, yeah, we'll be sure to update everybody with the Q&A there. Okay, that was answered. Will the ambassadors be expected to be outside for the entirety of their weekly hours, or can they seek refuge inside depending on the weather?
No, this is, you're going to be, we expect you to be outside the majority of your shift. I mean, yes, you could take a break, you can, and yes, there'll be times where, we want you to get to know each business and understand their needs or any concerns they have, but they are out on the street. That is the part of their value.
Okay.
And the success of the program.
Okay, we answered these questions. I'm just scrolling down. We answered that. Is there a 501c6 chamber who has a fiscal agent that's a 501c3? Can they apply? So can a chamber who has a fiscal agent that's a nonprofit, can they apply?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Nina, could I clarify that as well? This is Mark.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think there's a little bit of confusion. Chambers themselves as 501c6s are eligible also. That's my understanding. I think that might have been lost in the explanation.
Okay, so 501c3 and 501c6, both eligible for the program. Got it. Okay, we answered that. Sorry, I'm just reading the questions. Bear with me to make sure I'm not double dipping. We talked about training. Training will be provided with the help of the city. Okay, can funds be used for office, storefront, home base for the ambassadors to keep their supplies, equipment, lunch breaks? I believe that can be included in the budget with supplies. Is that correct?
Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, it says, can funds be used for office, storefront, home base for the ambassadors to keep their supplies, equipment, lunch breaks, etc.? Oh, so like renting a storefront? No, okay, yes,
I
I'm
mean,
trying to.
depending, I mean,
yeah.
that should be,
Mhm.
I guess I'd have to see the detail of that in the budget. Um,
Yeah, it might be an absorbent expense just to rent out a storefront for a home base.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, it will not be allowed to rent out of stores. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
assuming, I mean, that part of the equipment we're talking about here, unless you're providing bikes, should be able to be stored in a little area.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, this was a similar question about primary office space. So it sounds like, rental costs are not included in that.
No,
Okay. Can ambassadors pass out upcoming events, flyers for upcoming, I'm assuming they mean flyers for upcoming events on the corridor and other activities?
that's really not part of their role to be an extension of the existing chamber or an SSA. So that they should not be doing that. On rare occasions, if they're offering other forms of announcements, maybe that the city is providing, or other programs or resources, maybe you combine your efforts, but just on a standalone, no, they should not be doing that.
Okay. If a group doesn't apply this year, can they apply next year?
I don't have that answer yet. It depends on the amount of applicants that come through this year, how many will be renewed, and the available funding. So I don't have that answer right now. We'll know that sometime next year after the first of the year.
Okay. So somebody is referencing, you said, there'll be 1 to 3 trainings at the beginning, come from the city, and not thereafter until the following season. So this person is asking, how can agencies train in the meantime?
Well, all agencies are required to attend the training. We will have those recorded, and then the delegate agency should be able to train the staff moving forward. But they will continue to have the new ambassadors meet with their local police district, who will also provide guidance.
Okay. This person, I guess, is following up on our rental question. Where would ambassadors keep all of their supplies, eat lunch, and lock in and out? And I assume that needs to be part of your program design, right?
Yep.
You need to
Yes,
have a plan for that.
yes.
Okay. Okay, we answered that one, and I see some folks are writing in the chat. So let me just check the chat. That's all the questions in the Q&A. Okay, so I see somebody asking a list of qualifying areas. If you look in the RFP, the list of qualifying areas are there. Can you please define what SSA programming is? I think it was referenced early in the PowerPoint.
I'm going to defer to Mark since he manages the SSA.
Okay.
And then it doesn't make sense for me to do it.
So SSAs is the Special Service Area Program. There are several chambers of commerce that manage special service areas along their corridors. This program would be independent of SSAs, so it's not limited to SSA boundaries. This corridor program wouldn't have to encompass the entire SSA boundaries, and it could also be in areas outside of the SSA as well. So completely independent. What we don't want to have happen, though, is that somehow this would replace services that the SSA is already doing. But we have there's really only State Street is the only SSA that provides this current ambassador service, so that's really not an issue. But overall, we want to operate this as an independent program.
Okay, and I think this feeds into this other question. So you may have to restate it, but so this person is asking, our org has community safety and engagement teams that are already doing this work, but we don't have a grant that covers it. Are we allowed to apply for this grant to cover those existing costs?
My apologies. Can you repeat the question again? I got caught up reading a chat.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, so this person is saying
distracted.
that their organization does basically what the community ambassadors are intended to do, but they're paying for it currently themselves, can they apply for this grant even though they already have an existing program?
I don't believe so. These are new programs, and this is not to cover existing programs. The intention is for new programs, new corridors. We are not supplementing existing programs.
Okay.
And boundaries.
Got it. Okay. All right. So I think that is all the questions. I see some duplicates here that we've already answered. And let me just go back to this 1 second. Oh, there is 2 more questions. So there's at least 1 more. So given the current labor shortage, is there flexibility to start after June 1st? Not at this time. I see Mary checking.
We want the program up and running June 1st.
Yeah. So you may want to include in your program design how you plan on recruiting ambassadors.
Right. You need, that is part of the questions and part of the plan, that you have to have a plan in place on how you will hire and recruit local.
Okay, so this question asks, how will you assure that an agency is awarded this grant to provide services in the SSA area which may duplicate or overlap the SSA service provider and create confusion amongst its constituents? I don't know.
So, well, I mean, maybe I'm assuming, but I'm thinking the SSA may be the one that is the applicant, and the ambassador is complementing the program you have in place. They have a different funding source for payroll, but they're still complementing the effort in the corridor, the existing corridor, whatever boundaries you decide. What we're trying to stress, though, is that like ambassadors are not to be used for cleaning up areas, like picking up trash on a regular basis. That is not the purpose of the SSA or of the ambassador. But I would look at it. It shouldn't be confusing. It should be they should be complementing your existing efforts and programs you have in place.
And then one of our last questions here, I understand that the ambassadors are independent from organizations. Oh, there's more questions. Are independent from organizations, events, and functions. Is the admin independent too? So I'm assuming they mean that 10% line item for administrative cost. That person is a part of the organization, right? Like that's a cost of the organization. So
because we're asking our organizations to manage this program, the training, the hiring, managing the day-to-day operations, making sure that the ambassadors have a clear path of like communicating with the delegate agencies if they have any questions or concerns while they're out on the corridor.
Okay.
And you may have to, as time goes on, you may want to adjust the programs and some of the duties of the ambassador as you progress, because I know this is new to many of us here, this program.
Okay, I think that is, hopefully, let me just scroll down. Okay, I believe that is indeed the last question that I see in the box that's not a duplicate or just a general comment. So as we've stated, this recording will be put up on our website, so please do look out for that. And hopefully if you do have any questions, feel free to email Mary if you have any additional questions.
Yeah, Nina, we have the email here, dpd@cityofchicago.org. I want to stress it's important to at least sign up if you're going to submit an application, at least 3 days, sign up in iSubmittable at least 3 days prior to the deadline. There are several, we just closed our first RFP for POP, and there were several that they did not get their applications in on time. And so I want to make sure that everyone's aware, do not wait till the last minute. You could sign, you could begin the process and stay in a draft form. But I would like for your safety, and I would submit, before noon, several hours before noon. Don't wait till the last minute.
Sorry, two
Because
last
there
minute
is no, there is no grace period here. If you don't get it on time, you're not eligible. You'll have to wait if there's another opportunity.
Yep. Two more questions here, Mary. Are organizations able to make your procurement decisions on their own, or do they need to follow the city requirements?
I'm not sure what, I guess I'd have to understand, I'd have to,
Example,
I need an example of what they're referring
Yeah, if
to.
you're procuring services, we would have to know more details about what type of expenses you're talking about, but generally, you can always email us a more detailed question if you'd like to get that answered. And then one last one, if the goal, oh, I see. Okay, you followed up. Okay, I see. Like uniform and bikes. Like if they want to buy uniform bikes, things like that, do they have to follow the city procurement?
Oh, no,
rules?
no.
Yeah, you can do your own thing. Thank you. Thank you for following up. So we understood what you meant. Okay, so if the goal is for the organization to hire ambassador manager, a person that oversees the other ambassadors in reporting, is that person's cost under the administration fee?
So I would like the administrative cost, but they could add as part of their ambassador program, like a supervisor.
Okay.
But that person needs, but that person would need to be walking the corridor and be visible out there. This is not, these are not office, other than the program administrator, but aside from that, everyone else, we are expecting to see them visibly on the street for their entire shift.
So I guess if it should be in the ambassador line item, if you expect them to be out and about, if you expect them to be in the office, they should be under that administrative line item.
Correct.
But you could have seen the person on the corridor watching the other people.
And and you could also it can include a scene, like we talked before, of different levels of the ambassadors, but so it could be a senior level that maybe they're driving in the car at periods of time, going back and forth, like looking at different, observing different areas.
Okay. All right. So hopefully that's clear. Okay. That was really the last one. Okay. I think that was legitimately the last one. All right. So thank you, everybody. I hope everybody has a good morning. See you all soon. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Looking forward to seeing your applications.